Hello, happy Saturday. How are you? How was your week? What have you been up to? I thought I'd share a little bit about what I've been up to this week because it's been an amazing week. So, firstly, I want to say you are the answer to everything. You are the answer to your world. You are the answer to your experience. Everything is inside of you. And for me, it feels like this week, when something drops in on a deeper level, like you did understand it and you did know it before, but then it just comes in even deeper. There's been a profound shift this week. It's been magical and gorgeous. So I've just felt drawn to pick up The Artist's Way again. And this is where the book, the Morning Pages come from. I don't know if you're familiar with Morning Pages. It's been with me for many years, and I've done Morning Pages on and off for many years. And they're a part of releasing your creativity. Because what was bugging me was, I thought, here I am again on the brink of sharing this story, the amazing things and learnings that have come out of it, which I know are beneficial to others, not just myself, through my clients that I've coached. And yet here I am again, playing small and starting to contract. And I thought, enough. And also for me, my self-sabotage shows up in overeating. So I don't know what your tactic of choice is for your self-sabotage. But mine's I comatose myself and flatten my energy with food. And so I'd been overeating. And so I just thought, but then my intuition guided me to The Artist's Way. So I grabbed it. And this time I thought, right, I will do it properly. I'll really go for it this time. So what made me laugh about that is when I got to that point, having read, because it's, I think it's like I can't remember, 10 or 12 week course, and you work your way through the course, right? And so I got to the bit at the end of chapter 1 where you make this commitment, and then I burst out laughing because I have signed this commitment on the 5th of August 2007. Then again on the 5th of January 14 with a note saying, this time I commit. So I dated it for the 9th of October 22. That's when I started, and I put, maybe this time I will commit, LOL, with a big smiley face, because it doesn't matter if I do or not, but I would like to. I've made a choice to, I've made an intention to, and I've been doing the practices properly this week. So it's not just the Morning Pages, it's also about getting to where we're blocked, which is the key things, isn't it? It's like there's nothing wrong with us. All of this personal development and trying to fix and make ourselves better, it's just like, it's just a red herring, because there's just more and more and more. You can't fix the personality, you can't fix the ego. The one true root of a solution is to realize what and who you truly are, and that being that we're not the body, we're not the mind, we're not the emotions, we're not the personality, we're not what our parents taught us, we're not our experiences, we're not even like we're not history, our personal history or humanity's history. We are pure infinite potential, pure energy, pure life force, and yet all this other stuff really has us in its grip, doesn't it? So this week for me, I was like, that's dropped in on a far, I don't say deeper level because I've been here before, but it's so there and it's so obvious. It's really gorgeous. And I've just had the most amazing week. So I've sent off things like to a publisher that I meant to do over 12 months ago, sent off some other, for reviews and stories in promoting the book. And again, that's been there for months, all ready to go, all written, all done, just sitting on it. And what I realise and know is that is what this, that's where the block is, isn't it? That this unconscious, and I'm not even going to call it sabotage, because it's actually just trying to keep us safe. It's our unconscious programming that we learnt at a certain point in time, probably when we were quite young, do these things, and the roles that we played because of how our family dynamics were, etc. And we are playing those things out, and yet they're not our true selves. So that's been quite phenomenal this week. And yesterday I went on a beautiful artist's date. So part of the Artist's Way is every week you take yourself out for 2 hours, just you, on a date with yourself. So I had the most delightful afternoon yesterday. I went temping bowling, not done that for ages. Went and had some nice lunch and a coffee, potted in some I went down to the Quay in Exeter, which is a really cute place, and there's just got all these lovely little independent, like sort of gift shop things. So I just had a lovely time perusing those. And then it just flowed on actually. Beyond that, then I ended up having a spontaneous half-hour back and neck massage, which was great, and came home and did some paint pouring. So I had a lovely creative afternoon. It was gorgeous. But of course, our whole lives can be that. And I think for me, that my profound learning this week, or again, this is like, I know this, but it just came in on a deeper level. And I know like it's the same for you, that it was that my suppression of myself, of my life force, was the key to my discontent. Because for me, I love my life, it's great, but then I always end up being this feeling like something's missing or something's not quite there. No matter how good it kind of gets, it still will dip off. And what I saw was, wow, this is linked right back to that I'm suppressing the expression of myself. And I had the most amazing dream last night, which I'll share on another day in another video. So vivid. And it was about that suppression of our wild selves, and an experience that happened to me when I was a girl. I'll have a sip of tea a second. So yeah, just amazing. And what did I want to say to you? I wanted to know, how was your week? So that was my week. It's been fantastic. And this space, I'm going to reword it because it's not about finding peace in ourselves. It's about our full self-expression. Because, the other bit I really realised is, of course, it's source energy, isn't it? It's God surrendering to that, and that surrender is not a passive thing. It's actually an active thing. And it's more of who you are, because all of these words I can see, the concepts are tied up in less than. Commonly, it may not be for you, but they certainly were for me. They're tied up in less than. So surrender seems like a giving up and something having power over. But what I realise is it's not that at all. Like when we're vibing with God, the source, life force itself, it's creative. We were created to create, and we create our reality. We create through our ideas, our thoughts, don't we? And yet we are kind of in this place where it seems like we don't, and it's happening to us from the outside. So it's that really pulling it back, knowing that your world starts from your inside. That's where it comes from. And so I was also inspired. I've been swimming this morning. It was really lovely. And I am going to start Woo's Parlour. So several reasons for the Woo. Woo's Parlour. Wendy Woo, people have called me many, many times over the years. But also, just came in while I was swimming, divinely inspired, is because it's about our woo-woo. What we need is our woo-woo. And that to me now, my spirituality is so normal and natural, and that it is about allowing that. So Woo's Parlour, inspired by the parlour bit, inspired by a client of mine who said like she was delighted that she'd come into my parlour, which I really loved. It's going to be a space for 20 people to have a safe, sacred, fun space to really allow our full spiritual selves to flourish. Because there are spiritual laws to learn. The emotional processing comes in there of that's how you can see quickly your unconscious, because you are actually in a space where you can allow it to come to the fore. Because of course it's a very protected space. So we'll have, I didn't intend to be telling you this now, I meant to do more work to tell you properly, but I'll carry on because it's coming out. So it'll be a space for 20 people, and I'll do more if there's more interest, but it is only going to be up to 20 people in the group, because I want it to be a safe, sacred, held space where we can all flourish in our wisdom together and support each other. We'll have a weekly call, and we'll have a secret Facebook group. And then in that we will have, on the call, we'll have some structure and some free space. So I'll be sharing all of the things I've learned over this past 21 years since that near-death experience glimpsed me to the other side of the truth of ourselves, and then sent me on this, what felt like times, arduous journey of peeling back the layers, dissolving, the things that I thought I was that I'm not. And it feels like a wonderful combination right now. So it's not always been arduous. It's brilliant as well. And it's nothing so amazing as diving into yourself. And it's so needed. Like this time, it's like we need this. We need to be in our creativity, in our creativity, birthing this new, exciting, what's next thing, rather than just repeating the past. So if you look out at the world and you think it's pretty insane, this is a space for you. If you also, like me, have that where you know, we're getting to the points where I just felt like something's missing, and you can't quite put your finger on it, that invisible, elusive thing, this is a space for you. If you, like me, have kind of something urging you to go and share or do in the world, but you kind of take one step forward and maybe 10 back, or you kind of come forward and then you go into hiding again. There's so much patterning in our childhoods. Big T traumas, little t traumas all leave their marks. And the thing is, it's not actually what happens that's important. It's the meaning that you give to what happens. So I had this dream I had last night was I was wild and free, and then I started, oh, people won't like it if I'm wild and free, and I better be quiet, and I was being really enthusiastic and excited about something. And then as I was waking up, I remembered I rode this horse in the field next door when I was like 10 or 11. I just wanted to ride horses, and I loved horses, and I had a couple of my mates over, and I grabbed a bit of rope and I went out and I got on the horse, and I was cantering around the field, and I hadn't had riding lessons. I couldn't ride. No, well, I'll correct that. I could ride, but I hadn't had official riding lessons. And of course I hadn't asked permission. And then the next thing, my mum is yelling at me from the fence on our side, to get off the horse, and I got a right telling off, and my friends got sent home. And that kind of wasn't, well, I guess then the rebel comes up, because I don't really, so bothered about my mum telling me off. But I remember being absolutely humiliated in the time that followed afterwards, because she told everyone that she spoke to on the phone this story. Oh, you'll never guess what Wendy's done, and off she'd go. And I felt so humiliated is the word. Humiliated, small. I'd been wild and free, and of course I shouldn't have been. I got told off. It wasn't okay. And of course what I made that mean was, don't do that. And these things are subtle, because we can, this is what I realised in looking at these things, because things come up again for me this week that have come up many times before. They're not new things, but it feels like we spiral in the things. And so every time something raises itself, it's perfect, because it just means take another look and see what else is there. And what I really came up for me this time was the meaning that I had given to these things. And of course, that's just not true. And it's dangerous. That's the other thing I could see, that it was dangerous to be wild and free. It wasn't okay. Because of course my mum is a very fearful person who worries that I would have hurt myself, right? And so therefore there's play it small. But then of course we've got this massive inner conflict, because our spirit self is freaking free. It's so free, and it's so alive, and it has expression and beauty and something uniquely created that is to be shared in the world. We are oneness, isn't sameness. Oneness is a plethora of amazing creativity, and so that's to be shared in the world. And of course then we're suppressing that, because it's not safe to be wild and free and follow that spontaneous thing that I've just thought I should do. But it's subtle. These things are so subtle. So anyway, Woo's Parlour, that's what it's going to be about. Weekly learning the laws, learning, really getting the processing, and really liberating ourselves, and celebrating a fun place, celebrating our freedom, celebrating then the inspirations that you get inspired to do, holding a space for people that are in that group to fully express themselves. And it's a space where you can fully be celebrated in that, because as well, the other thing that's so common, isn't it, and this is another pattern that I've seen, is that you start to express yourself, your buoyancy comes, your radiance comes, your vitality comes, and some people don't like it, because they are not in happy places in their worlds, and therefore then that is uncomfortable for them. And often these are the people that are closest to you. loved ones. Parents would be the patterning when we were kids, and obviously into adulthood as well. Friends, family, people that don't like you being your brightest, shiniest self. And it's not, of course, they want you to be, but it just makes them uncomfortable, and it highlights even more where they're not their brightest, shiniest selves, and then that makes us shut it down, or it can make us shut it down. So Woo's Parlour is a space to be as vibrant and bright as you like, and to encourage each other to that's okay, and it's welcomed and it's wanted. So I'm going to give you a price while I'm here. So it's going to be £1,000 for the year. It'll be weekly calls. We'll have that secret Facebook group. So we'll have like live kind of, what do I want to call it? Exploration. I don't want to call it a hot seat, but exploration, so that you can dive deeper, get those questions. It's a space to be held accountable. It's a space to be celebrated. It's a space to lift off all those things that are not the real you, as you really rest into the real you and show up and be your brightest self. So if you are interested, send me a message or put a note in the comments here, and I'll message you, and let's have a chat and see if it's a fit for you. Loads of love from me to you, and I'll come right back to where I started actually, was how has your week been? That's what I wanted to know. How's your week been? What have you been up to? Have you been shining bright? Are you holding yourself back like I was, or are you living full pelt as your spiritual self? So much love from me to you, and I'll see you again very soon.